Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Now, we know all the debates about climate change, but can just the way a country states its weather report, normal weather report, Met report, indicate a climate change in strategic ties between two countries? Second, we are jumping from one to the other. Second, you jump straight to Kashmir Valley. A top terrorist was killed in Kashmir Valley. Riaz Naiku, he was the head of Hizbul Mujahideen in Kashmir. So that was seen as a big success for security forces. Just a couple of days back, security forces suffered a sizable loss. They lost 2 senior officers, a battalion commander, a company commander, 2 other soldiers and a police sub-inspector in what looked like was a trap. So that was seen as a setback to the forces and a gain for the terrorists. Before that, in another action, 5 of the special forces commandos of the army were killed. Again, it was a setback for the forces, a gain for terrorists. At the same time, within the same month, 35, now in fact more terrorists have been killed. So you might count that as a gain for security forces. Now, what do these add up to? And what does all this have to do with the big picture? And how do we read all this with this new pattern in the weather report? This is an exotic connection we are making, but it's not so exotic after all, because this underlines to us the essential difference between tactics and strategy. Everywhere, whether it's the companies who make their plans, they look at strategy in one way, tactics in another way. Countries, when they decide on their diplomacy, they look at strategy one way, tactics another way. Tactics is sometimes more fun. Strategy takes more time, can be more boring, takes more patience. So what is tactics and what is strategy? And once again, why are we confusing the new pattern in India's weather reporting with what's happening on the ground in Kashmir? So today a PTI report came out, and you can see that report on our screen, saying that Indian Meteorological Department, especially the regional office, which is the Northwestern Regional Office, started reporting the weather under its Jammu and Kashmir subdivision, also separately for the districts which are currently under Pakistani occupation, that is Muzaffarabad, Gilgit, Baltistan. So not just what Pakistan might acknowledge as our view of POK and what they call as Azad Kashmir, but also regions that India considers its own, that our constitution defines as a part of India. But Pakistan claims that they have pretty much merged them into their mainland territory. In fact, they are right now planning to hold a fresh election in Gilgit-Baltistan. They've got a permission from their Supreme Court to do so, and this will be some kind of a provincial government. So for all practical purposes, in fact, we'll link for you a paper from Observer Research Foundation that says that for all practical purposes, Pakistan has begun to treat Gilgit-Baltistan as a separate province of its own. So there is a challenge to that as well. Now, it's not the first time India has done it. India has been routinely doing it at the national level. So IMD, when it releases the national weather, it includes this region also. The new thing is that the Northwestern Division of Regional Division of IMD is now specifically mentioning these, and this has happened over the last couple of days, specifically mentioning these as part of its Jammu and Kashmir subdivision. Now immediately you might ask me, oh, Gilgit-Baltistan actually, even according to the new Indian map after August 5, is not part of Jammu and Kashmir. It's a part of Ladakh. It's not part of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So let me just clarify for you that how the Met Department counts its subdivisions is different from the administrative and cartographic and political units in the national map of India. For example, a state like UP may have 2 or it in fact has 2 subdivisions. Maharashtra has 4 subdivisions. So if you look at the northwestern zone of IMD, it has 9 subdivisions. So J&K is 1, but it includes Ladakh. it has nothing to do with the two being separate union territories. It's a meteorological subdivision. Similarly, Delhi, Chandigarh, Haryana are one subdivision. Punjab is one. Eastern UP, Western UP are separate subdivisions. And similarly, East and West Rajasthan are two subdivisions. So these are met subdivisions. There, once you start saying whether for Muzaffarabad, Gilgit, Baltistan, what you are saying, whether for our territory, India's territory of Muzaffarabad, Gilgit, Baltistan. So you are restating a fact that India states officially all the time. These territories are part of the official map of India. So what is new here? What's new here is this restatement, and the fact is that this has not suddenly been noticed by somebody. Nothing happens in the Modi government unless the Modi government wants to do it. That is things that the government does. So in this case, this obviously is a message. Now, how do we once again link it right back to the events, to the killings, to the success, counter success, failure, counter failure on the ground in Kashmir with all this? One picture is tactical. What happens on the ground in Kashmir, 1 killed, 2 killed on this side, 5 killed on this side, 10 killed on that side, that is tactical. That is the scoreboard. आज आपने इतने मारे, आज हमने हमारे इतने मारे. The fact is that if you go to the war memorial that Government of India has just built, it's a beautiful war memorial, very poignant, at India Gate, you will find that names of about 25,900 something, and more must have been added over the last several weeks there. That many soldiers who've died in various wars and operations since 1947 have been listed there. So, say about 26,000 people have died. In fact, in an earlier Cut the Clutter, I think I had misspoken, slip of the tongue, I said lakhs. It's not lakhs, it's only 1,000. So that many people, a country pays the price for keeping itself together, for holding itself together. And India has never been shy of paying that price, and Indian armed forces can take it on the chin. These are large armed forces. So that many people have sacrificed their lives, that many good Indians, they have not conceded anything to anybody. So those things happen at a tactical level. 2 killed, 4 killed, 4 killed, 2 killed. Somebody says this was avenged, that was avenged. An officer or an ambush costs lives to Indian armed forces. Some commander of the terrorists gets killed. These are should-put things. These are, if you thought of it like a cricket match, then somebody hits a 4 and a 6, somebody takes a catch or clean bowl somebody. These are ball by ball events. These add up to the big picture. What that big picture is depends on your strategy. So that is the difference. In fact, I searched for definitions of strategy versus tactics, and I tried to find something precise with Kautilya. If you find something, please tell me, because there's a lot of folklore with Kautilya also, as there is with Sun Tzu. But I found at least one authentic text under Sun Tzu, the Chinese strategic scholar, almost a contemporary of Kautilya, say 2500 years ago, say about 500 BC. And he said, strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. That is called the bash on regardless approach, say in the armed forces, that you just go frontally and keep bashing as long as you can keep on taking losses. Maybe you will make progress in the end. So strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is just the noise before defeat. So come back to what I am saying. The little things that you see on the ground in the valley, sometimes it looks like there is a setback, sometimes it looks like it's a gain. They count for very little in the big picture. They are tactical. In fact, I will recount a conversation that took place between General Musharraf and L.K. Advani, and that L.K. Advani once spoke about to me in a Walk the Talk interview. When he first met Musharraf, when Musharraf came for his Agra summit, and there was a lunch in Delhi that Vajpayee had hosted for him, Musharraf said that we should now do things whereby we restore confidence amongst ourselves, between ourselves, so we can start moving. So Advani immediately said, let You and I make a beginning then by signing an extradition treaty, and you hand over Dawood Ibrahim to us. Musharraf recoiled, and Musharraf said, I am a soldier. In my business, this is what we will call as minor tactics, which means you go and ambush somebody. It was an ambush, so that was minor tactics. Once again, what is the implication? That strategic issue is, where do India and Pakistan settle? So what is the strategic issue here? Once again, let me, because I love both military science and sport, I will tell you. You can run, you win a marathon or a 100-meter sprint, depending on what your strategy is for winning. Your strategy can be a slow race, your strategy can be a fast race. Your strategy can be run slowly in the beginning, pick up at a certain point. Long distance runners all do it strategically. How you do it in various phases is your tactics. For example, middle distance, long distance, sometimes the coaches will field more than one competitor, where one or two will act as pace setters at various levels. So that is tactics that goes into strategy. In a cricket match, you may decide when you need quick runs at some point to send a pinch hitter. Strategy is to win the match. Pinch hitter, the use of the pinch hitter is tactics. But if you just send a pinch hitter that हारेंगे या जीतेंगे, मैं 4-5 छक्के मार के आता हूँ, that is what Sun Tzu calls tactics without strategy. That is the noise before defeat. So you have to understand this. So a lot of what's happening on the ground, and this has become very important since August 5, because what was done on August 5 in Kashmir, that is effectively abrogation of Article 370 and special status of Kashmir, that was a strategic move. Now to say the objective of that move was not that there will never be violence in Kashmir or that terrorism in Kashmir will die. If anybody imagined that, they were delusional, because anybody who believes that tactical issues will vanish like that, and that too in a complex situation like Kashmir, which is being contested by two nuclear weapon countries, two huge armies, it's not going to go away. And it's also a blood feud between India and Pakistan. But the change of August 5 was a strategic move, and it has changed the strategic picture. So whatever happens on the ground, I know that very often in public opinion you will find reactions to what happens on the ground in Kashmir would depend on whether you like Narendra Modi or you don't like Narendra Modi. If you like Narendra Modi, then you'll say, oh, Kalus, yesterday there was an action, we lost 5 soldiers, Pakistanis got it done. Today, India got even. I see those TV channels saying, Handwara avenged. If you don't like Narendra Modi, you will say, see, August 5, he said, with my changes, Kashmir problem will now be solved and there will be no violence. Now violence is back. So violence was always going to be there. That is the tactical reality on ground in Kashmir. Strategic picture is, since August 5, is Pakistan's claim internationally over Kashmir, or is Pakistan's case internationally over Kashmir is stronger or weaker? Similarly, since August 5, is India's case over Kashmir stronger than before or weaker? And there I will quickly read up a little bit of the balance sheet for you and then conclude. So August 5, the things India did, Article 35A, most people don't remember, Article 370, Kashmir's status was changed. It became like any other state in India. But if anybody who thought the idea was to change the demographic reality of Kashmir, they missed the strategic message, because that is a local tactical issue, changing the demographics of Kashmir. That is not India's objective. India's objective was to strengthen India's case internationally for Kashmir being an inalienable part of India, and also to give a larger final political message to Pakistan and the rest of the international community that the territory of Kashmir that is already with India is not part of any negotiations now or in the future. Truth to tell, it was not the case even earlier also, but there was always some hope on the Pakistani side that we'll get some concessions on the Indian side of Kashmir so we can claim victory and we can tell people that we got something for our Kashmir cause. Now that line, that door was tightly shut. That is not going to change even if a few successful terror attacks are carried out here and there. If they are too prominent, if those terror attacks are too big, there will be retaliation, maybe not even on the Pakistani side of Kashmir, but deeper inside Pakistan. That line India crossed with Balakot and will cross again. I don't think anybody in the world takes that lightly. So that political point is made. That is the strategic change after August 5. So this statement that India makes on the weather front is basically, it is not non-deliberate. These things don't happen by coincidence. This is to once again underline the fact that, okay, we can have negotiations even now on Kashmir, but what we have in Kashmir is not open for negotiation. Let's negotiate over what you have of Kashmir. And there we make no distinction between what you call as Azad Kashmir and what you call as northern areas or Gilgit-Baltistan, which you consider more a part of your territory, because Gilgit technically or chronologically had ceded to Pakistan before the Maharaja of Kashmir ceded to India. That's a complex story that I spoke about in one of the earlier Kartak letters. In fact, I'm giving you links to two of these earlier Kartak letters that talk about the cartographic reality of that area and the geography and the geostrategic layout of that area. So you can see that. See the world since August 5. There are noises by human rights organizations. You saw those hearings in the US Congress. What happened with that? Those have all died out. There are a few statements and irritants from human rights organizations. Initially, they have some novelty value. Now everybody is bored with them. They don't even get published anywhere. I'm not saying what is right or what is wrong. I'm just telling you the reality, because this is the stark reality. There was some international, popular or political opposition to Indian steps. Who were these people? These were essentially parties of the left in the Western world. They've all fallen by the wayside, those leaders. And leaders who have come in their place have carried out a course correction. In Britain, Jeremy Corbyn, he did a lot to offend India, and he clearly positioned his party Labour on the Pakistani argument strategically with Kashmir. He was defeated roundly, not because of this, but because he was nutty in many other ways. He was essentially a communist, and Britain wasn't ready for his kind of communism. Britain wasn't willing to go back to being a Marxist country. So he was thrown out. Now the person who has come in his place, Keir Starmer, he has corrected this position. In fact, he has said that any constitutional issues in India are a matter for the Indian Parliament, and that Jammu and Kashmir is an issue to be solved bilaterally between India and Pakistan peacefully. Now that greatly corrects, that completely dumps Jeremy Corbyn. So this is not a tactical win. This is a strategic gain, because this repositions Britain, which has a historical, if not a role, but at least a position on Kashmir. Second, in America, there was Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, many of the others who made these nasty statements. Many of the people on the left of Democratic Party also said nasty things on Kashmir in congressional hearings. Now what's happened? Those people, Democrats have rejected them, because even there the Democrats were not willing to go that far to the left. This is a new phenomenon in global politics. This new love affair between the global chic left and the Islamic anti-American, anti-Western forces, because every loser is looking for an ally. So this was the Western left's ally, but leaders who swore by this have now been swept to the wayside. So not just Elizabeth Warren, but Bernie Sanders is also now gone. Bernie Sanders is now actually backing, everybody is backing Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a responsible, old political leader. He's say or do no such stupid thing, because he knows the world better than the other people. He, if anything, if he wins, he will reposition American foreign policy back to the pre-Trump status quo. So back to, say, Obama's times. So to that extent, in these 8 months or so, you can say on balance, strategically, the situation has improved for India. So the weather strategically has improved for India. This little change in the way the weather report is put out is just a little tactical pinprick to underline that strategic shift and to also underline the fact that what's happening is not about what happens on the ground every now and then. What's happening is about the larger claims and the larger cases of the two countries, the two rival claims and the two rival cases on Kashmir between the two countries.